Welcome, we're back to the December 11th, Thursday, 2025 edition of Exorcists and Cars Getting Coffee. Today, Mike's featuring the exact same car, an old 2012 hybrid Honda, and we'll be driving around and talk about some crazy stuff that's on my mind. I know it's been a while since we did another episode of Exodus and yeah, this is free rolling here, right? So this is not going to be edited. Exorcists and Cars Getting Coffee. What are we talking about today? I am midstream. I like to talk about what's on my mind, what's happening during spiritual warfare, to get you guys the real information about spiritual attacks and how to deal with stuff and when to run. So that's kind of like where I'm at today. I am kind of loaded up right now on spiritual abuse cases, and that's what I'm going to be talking about quite a bit here and the type that have come in. I usually hide my contacts from the occult because they like to load me up with all sorts of things on my email. I open up my email and there's a ton of porn there and all this stuff to the ministry site. So I hide my contacts. So usually they either find my contact sideways or off a website that I didn't want to put on and so forth. Well, long story short, I am dealing with a case right now that is spiritual abuse, legit. And the problem is this individual is living with their parent who is also spiritually abused, and they both want help. And I said this slipped in sideways. I had no control how this came in. So typically what I do is I want the family separated for years as the individuals go through spiritual abuse healing, because they can reprogram each other. And the problem is when you try to explain to spiritual abuse people, there's a really weird attitude right now, and it's like a pride thing that I notice has been introduced, where these spiritual abuse people think they know exactly what's going on. And of course it's hard, I'm not being mean about this, they think they know what's going on because they live in that body. However, what they don't know and have no idea of is how that body was programmed for secret society rituals, and to the level and what the idiosyncrasies and how these things behave. So they have built-in lie mechanisms to make them believe what's fuzzy and wonderful, or make them believe they understand what's true and what's going on. And on top of all this, there's something called a control part that controls all of this. All the presenters that come up, all the ritual abuse parts come up when they come up day or night, day hosts, night hosts. I know I'm throwing lingo out there. So I've been doing this for 20 years. I kind of have a feel for what's going on. I probably worked with over 100 ritual abuse survivors. I know those who are going to make it and those who won't. I work with everyone, and if you start hearing Mike using a harsh language, you're not listening to me, you're not doing what I'm telling you, you're probably in the border zone of washing out of the program on your own because you don't have what it takes. For instance, there is so much garbage out there proliferated on spiritual warfare, and a lot of people out there, and you know who I'm talking about, right? We know who Mike's talking about if you're not going right now. Just go to any Instagram person right now who's selling conferences, selling PDFs, incantations, or telling you that you're being invaded by pre-Adamic spirits. That's another big one I have to unprogram from spiritual abuse people, because it's simply not there. And I'm not going to take those on right now, but it's a huge problem where disinformation, and I believe the occult is feeding it, okay, you heard me, to throw off survivors' healings. And so when you get to a point where you're just not starting from ground zero, you're also deprogramming either the Christian mythologies that are, like everyone I got to, I'm trying to get them to meditate. This is the way out. I teach them to meditate and go to Jesus, because at the end, when you have high-level witches, your little PDF files of incantations you bought and the stuff you paid the $90 conference from that woman in Florida, or from the guy who teaches about pre-Adamic spirits, don't work, or teaches about we have a trichotomy, we have flesh, we have soul, we have human spirit, and therefore there's a spirit man. There's no such thing as a spirit man. That's trash from Arthur Burke. This is a man you're speaking to. I've been trained in counseling. I've been trained in mystical prayer. I'm a spiritual warfare minister who's gone from deliverance to exorcisms to ritual abuse and all the above. I've been called out to high-level hauntings and dealt with exorcisms with high-level dark priests. And so I have my territory, I know my stuff. So by the time survivor gets to me, they don't usually research me. They're in a panic. They don't realize they landed and talked to the right guy. So when I teach them how to fight, the first thing I teach them is to meditate. How do you practice the presence of Jesus? What are you talking about, Mike? I want you to pray for me and beat off these witches and all these things are attacking me, blah, 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 blah. No. Square one, I want you to meditate. I want you to know how to go into the secret place of the Most High from Psalm 91 and be with Jesus. How do you do it? And then all of a sudden we find out they can't do it. They don't know how to pray. They know how to worship. They've been to all those conferences. That's the other thing too. When I teach them to do contemplation, I went to this conference and why'd you go there? I'm telling you to go home, spend 5 to 10 minutes and practice contemplation. They don't do it. Don't do it. And it's all because of their programming. And it's all because too that I'm butting heads with these high-level Instagram ministers, social media, who don't know what they're doing and are in it for money. If you find a real spiritual warfare minister doing this stuff, we're not in it for the money. We're borderline poverty level when we fight this stuff. That's where we're at. And so they're sucking the air and the finances out of us. So I'm dishing you the truth right now, baby. You're getting it. We have to learn through the fight through heavy relational attacks. If they have 18 witches attacking us, imagine our anti-intercessors coming against us when we're doing this stuff. So keep that in mind. So what do? We have to teach these people how to pray, how to connect with Jesus and hear from him. Basic prayer, it's sublime. It's not they're going to the throne room. Jesus is indwelling. We're the temple. Jesus is indwelling. Remember that. We go to the temple. We kneel at the temple. We talk to Jesus. We feel his presence. And that's the start of healing. And it's very difficult to get ritual abuse survivors to do this. Those who already know how to do it are far ahead, and we can leapfrog into their healing. Healing takes years to decades with these people. And that's something I explain right out front. Look, it's going to take years to decades. So after I'm spending like 2 weeks with these people, how come I'm not fully healed yet? You told me, or the argument is, I told you how urgent this was, every one of them. I told you how urgent this was. I'm running out of money, every one of them. I'm running out of money too. Welcome to California. Why am I not healed yet? I told you it's going to take several years. Well, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for you either, but you're here at my doorstep, right? So they're going to be a different person than pastors see. I always get that through. You're not like my pastor. No, I'm not. I'm a sensei. I am teaching you how to fight. It's like you don't talk to your martial arts sensei like this. Oh, you should see the text. They are horrific. You blah, 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 blah. They're using very bad language. It's racial and derogatory. And it's like, oh my gosh, and they go back and I talk to the person, hey, do you know this person? Yeah, they're great. Like, oh my gosh, So there's a presenter that goes to church. A presenter is another identity that does the church, a very small part of them. And it's probably the part that got them saved. It's okay. But it's not the part I see when I work with these people. They're very belligerent. It's a very thankless ministry. It goes back and forth. I work with people I love working with, absolutely. And I get these people who are thankless, and it's very, I owe them everything. I owe them everything to be healed. I owe them, my time, my life. I should carve out things for them. I should answer all their phone calls every 5 minutes, all their texts every 5 minutes. And I'm teaching you the life of being an exorcist here. This is what it looks like, guys. I'm being raw, And so if you see these people on stage, oh, this is how you do this, how you do that, I'm combating the Leviathan, I'm combating the water spirits, I'm combating this, combating that, they don't know what the Hades they're doing or talking about. They made stuff up because it sells. And you'll see these people never talk about Jesus. They never talk about Jesus. What did I come out of the gate talking about? Oh, you need to meditate and connect with Jesus. I've been battling witchcraft for over 20 years, and I'm telling people, the first thing you got to learn is contemplation and meditation and going in with Jesus, because that's how you raise the shields. Go in with Jesus, go fetal position like a kid if you have to, hug Jesus, and while the bombarding's happening, and for Exodus 14:14, let Jesus fight the battles for you. Right? Look at Exodus. Look at Numbers. Look at Deuteronomy. Look at Leviticus. Look at Joshua. God fought the battles for them. Look at the book of Judges. God fought the battles for them. That's where we're at. We don't go off with our incantations because it's high level witchcraft. And sometimes a different way of praying because it's out of our dominion. What? The lady in Florida never told us that. It's out of our dominion. Yeah, you can get crushed if you got your dominion. There's ways if you have got a dominion of who you talk to, and that's why you need to learn to talk to Jesus. He's going to fight most of these battles for you. Most of these battles and healings go away with Jesus, no matter how dark they get. You know, I remember I've been in Haiti where I love sharing this story. We did a battle, we did an exorcism on the second highest level witch in Haiti out in the jungle. And Pastor Johns took me over and goes, hey, let's go talk to this lady, Madam Nelson or something like that. She's the highest. And so we went with our prayer team, we walked over there, and I remember Madam Nelson, who was the highest witch in that area of the jungle, coming out of the room goes, I do not want to fight with Jesus. I don't want to fight with him, right? She knew who Jesus was. So same thing with the high level witches. Some may know him, some may not, but I think if they're higher up, they know exactly who he is, because being high-level witch means you're totally enslaved to Satan. Oh gosh, Mike, you can't just throw Satan out there. That, you know, that's, you don't understand paganism and how white witchcraft. No, it's all under Satan. All of it, you'll see. It's the witchcraft of the watchers, and that, you know, is what it is, guys. So how do we deal with this stuff? Like I said, it's back to heavy intercession. If you don't know what you're doing, do not go learn how to deal with spiritual abuse. It's something you have to be drafted in. I'd love to get out of this. I'd love to, but I got drafted in it. My wife hates it. She hates it. I'll tell you right now, I'm being truthful. Because there's so much that happens, and so much we have to deal with. And I never tell the people I'm working with what happens, because it's tactical information. And they'll go, are you praying for this witch, praying for that witch? And I just stay quiet, and I'll change the subject on them. You know, I can change parts real fast. Because I don't want to let them know what I'm doing. If I don't know the person, if I worked with the person for years, sometimes I'll inform them of the tactical situation, this is how we're doing it. So we walk through it step by step as they advance and they become more stronger in their prayer life. And a lot of these people, I'm telling you, 80% of the people out there in church, not even ritually abused, don't have a prayer life. That's why they go to these stupid conferences and pay money, because they're in desperation, because they don't know how to deal with desperation and going with Jesus and waiting on the Lord and waiting on the Holy Spirit. That's it right there in a nutshell. So, anyway, yeah, I'm doing a lot of praying. I'm on my way right now to check out a church. I like to borrow just for contemplation and meditation, so I can have time away and isolate. That's kind of where I'm going right now. If you can notice my windows right now, see it's all foggy outside. We're living the dream, California, sunny California, the radiation fog. Like I said, unfortunately, it's not like Stephen King radiation fog, where there's giant spiders from different dimensions, or like John Carpenter, there's these zombie pirates coming out of the fog, nothing like that. But in fact, we found out this fog may have been from cloud seeding, and they sprayed metals. So now we're bringing these metals in. Thank you, guys. Anyhow, so that's what we're doing. We're on our way to check out this church. Should be awesome. But yeah, that's where I'm standing right now with prayer stuff. I beat up a lot on the spirit man. That's something for Arthur Burke. I don't know where that came from, but he's the one that perpetuated it. A lot of charismatics were wrong with it. I beat up on pre-Adamic. There's no such thing. That's gap theory. Gap theory came out in the 1800s. Gosh, how old is the Bible? Gap theory came out to explain evolution. So it was. If you read the Hebrew, in the Hebrew there's no gap theory there. Earth was just formless and void. It didn't mean there was a dark ages where Satan took over. It's not there. Between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, there's nothing that says that there. It's called gap theory. So now what our friend in Texas does with his ritual abuse ministry is has all these ritual abuse survivors convinced they have pre-Adamic spirits attacking them. And it's not even a valid theological concept. Trash it, guys. You have to know when to throw it. Gotta know when to toss it. Throw it out, guys. Throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. And so I would, and I think that's the same person also perpetuating the spirit man. And as ritual abuse survivors get this in their mind, they like it because the control part likes it, because it throws off healing from people like me when I come in ministering. The control part says, oh, I can use this lie and run with it and convince the rest of the system they're either healed or they're in a process of healing. It feels so good. Healing doesn't feel good, unfortunately, when it comes from ritual abuse. It doesn't feel good at all. Sorry to say. It's a very long walkout, and it's hard. It's a very hard thing to do. They said it could take decades, and the ones I've seen cross the the finish line, it took decades. And they were very harsh battles because we had to clean out the system. There's another large ministry out there on the East Coast, and I'm going to speak it in code, and I think they're also run by somebody who believes they're healed, but they don't tell us how they were healed, and I don't believe they're healed by watching them because I can see them trigger. But they use a lot of deliverance material, and that's what occult survivors like, is the deliverance material, because they think it's going to heal them right away. It doesn't. It just puts them in bondage in a spin cycle where they can't get out until they start contemplating and handing parts, their identities over to Jesus. And that's pretty much how this works, guys. That's how this works. So, good times. We're going to check out this church here in a second. So I hope this stuff helps, because the reason I'm rattling off about this is because I'm in a fight right now. Like I said, it's hard. And especially when a child and their parent come to you and they're both living together and they're both fighting this. Like I said, I mentioned, why did you mention you had to separate them? Yeah, I do. Why? Because if they were both programmed, they also program each other at night. And they don't want to hear this. They don't want to listen to it. So what happens is they take turns programming each other. That's part of their programming. And it's something I got to shut down. I've worked with families who had ritual abuse parents, and they programmed their kids. And it just was a flipping nightmare to shut it down. It was very difficult and lasted a very long time. I think the kids really didn't find healing till they went off to college and got to work with them separately. It was that difficult. So we're approaching this church here. Let's see if we can see this. What do you guys think of that church? That'd be a good prayer place, right? I'm going to walk over and see if they'll let me in for prayer. I want to start using this church if at all possible. It's here in my hometown. It's built in the 1800s. Very cool stuff, Mike. Hold on, here we go. Let's go see if we can get into it. Well, guess what, guys? I talked with the people here, and I'm in. What do you think of my new quiet prayer grounds for ministry, huh? This is just going to be my prayer area. Pretty awesome, huh? Pretty cool. It's a church built in the 1800s, man. Trying to get this Osmo to tilt right. It wasn't in funky vision. Pretty slick. I'm stoked. This is so cool. Cool. Thank you, Jesus. Well, I've come here to do some praying, so this is going to be the end of my Exodus and Cars getting coffee. I got granted to a nice church. Like I said, I usually take over a Catholic church, but this works for me. All right, here we go. Let's get a gorgeous shot of this, man. Checking out. This is the M16 Bishop, the Exodus and Cars getting coffee edition for December 11th, Thursday, 2025. Amen.